A dominant performance against Fairmont State.
Yeah, and I think, well, there's no other way to describe that. It's been a dominant performance. So they've done a really nice job. They've been aggressive. They've been really looking to score points, which is why that spread is so much, and not really just being satisfied with hanging out and winning by 5-6 points in a match. They're really going after things, and then therefore have ended up with a lot of falls.
Austin Cooley ranked 28th in the nation, 8-4 in the year for West Virginia, facing Dwayne Johnson. We previewed him in the Open, 19-5 on the year. He's won the last 11. A conference champion at Alderson Broadus last year had to transfer to Fairmont State after that school closed in the summer.
You know, there's people who have to transfer because their program got cut and something like that. I very rarely heard about the transfer because your school closed. You don't see that one very often, and it's got to be maybe even more demoralizing in certain ways. But they've done a nice job of accepting them here at Fairmont State. They've got a couple of guys that I think have transferred in relation to that, and he's been a nice addition. You know, when we talked to Coach earlier this week, he's been a nice addition, not only from a wrestling standpoint, but just his personality and leadership qualities and wrestling for them.
And you can see he's giving Austin Cooley everything he can handle right now.
Well, like I said, you got to wrestle. I mean, there's no. Now he's got himself in a position where Cooley does a nice job of a little more scrambling. So that one of the the advantages sometimes wrestling in certain areas when you're used to certain people is you scramble in those positions a little bit more. But Cooley does a nice job of finally getting a takedown.
Three Alderson Broadus wrestlers ended up making the trip to Fairmont State to join the Fighting Falcons. Deep breath from Johnson before he goes on bottom, down 3-0 to Cooley.
Now look, you say Division II, but I recall there have been some people back in the day, back when I was a kid, right? So back in the day, Division II champs used to be able to wrestle in the Division I national championships, and you know, there are guys who were All-Americans in both styles, and I think in both categories. And the guy who was obviously the most prolific at that was Carlton Hasselrig from UPJ, who won 3 national titles at Division II and Division I, and the late Carlton Hasselrig, unfortunately. But yeah, so there are some quality people in Division II. That's why I said you have to be ready to go. You don't know.
Fairmont State took a bout last year from West Virginia.
Cooley just tried to spend some time on top and really kind of grind on him a bit. With a minute left, he's going to let him up. You know, he got that minute of riding time, stayed on top for a while, and probably recognized I'm not going to turn him necessarily, and now going to try to do some stuff on her feet. And if you're going to let somebody up, then you better work at taking him down, right? I mean, every coaching staff is going to tell you that.
Neutral start for Cooley and Johnson here with 30 seconds left in the first period. As you mentioned, 1:06 of riding time in West Virginia's Austin Cooley's favor. 4-1 now the lead.
Nice shot by Cooley, and Johnson kind of bails out. He looked like he was kind of re-attack that and then decided the better of it. I think he was concerned about getting his head a little too close to his knee and Cooley clamping that cradle on him. And there's a takedown right at the end of the period, which, I mean, you get a takedown toward the end of the period, you don't have a chance to escape. That's a great way to split the score, and it's 7-1 already.
1:18 now, the riding time total for Austin Cooley. Looking to make it a clean sweep for West Virginia today. The West Virginia's first shutout of the year, if they can finish the job here. Cooley explaining what he's going to do. He's just going to let Johnson up.
Yep, optional start, and you don't technically have to let him up from an optional start, but you have to let him know you're doing it. And there's a same single leg. Nice job, and sits him right down.
You mentioned Tim Flynn talking about working on things. It's clear that kind of the team-wide message has been take down, let him up, work on some different moves.
Well, every guy's working on something a little bit different. You know, for some people it might be a little, it might also be a pace issue, right? Like increase your work rate or your pace. It might be the number of shots that you're taking. It might be the type of shot you're taking. You might be working on some things on top. You might be working on a position a little bit differently, and taking advantage of more of that kind of stuff. So, you know, unless you're in the room with them every day, you're not exactly sure what those little nuances are in regard to how they're translating. But what you can see is Cooley has done a nice job of taking a couple of different shots, using to his left and attacking the leg from that side of it, and has gotten a couple of nice takedowns that way.
13-4 now, riding time at 100 seconds, minute 40.
You know, Michael, I've never really heard anybody say it like that before. The 100 seconds, minute 40 thing. You're right, but you don't hear that very often.
And when it's an even number, I have to go with it. That's my thought process with that. If it had been 102, nah, I probably wouldn't do the math. 100 I can handle. 100
right.
I can calculate.
You can calculate that. That's way better than me. I'll tell you right there.
I was told there would be no math, but yet I brought some anyway.
Well, how can you not do math in a sporting event? There's the clock, there's the score. Wrestling's got riding time. I mean, geez.
Weights.
Right.
17-4 heading to the third period. Control for Austin Cooley in West Virginia. He will choose neutral. So again, you take it down here. It's a tech fall.
Got a little note passed on it. That's metric seconds and by the hundreds, right? I mean,
milliseconds, millimeters.
Right. That's why nobody can do that.
No Americans anyway.
That's right.
We choose not to.
Right. Defiant that way.
2:18 of riding time in Cooley's
nice
favor.
High crotch. Nice high crotch and a nice finish.
And that will finish the job. 20-4 in favor of Austin Cooley. A tech fall goes on in West Virginia, sweeps Fairmont State. A dominant performance.
No, they did, just very workmanlike, and went after him and did the things that they needed to do. And obviously it gives them a chance to make weight and get in the lineup, do a couple of things, and then get ready to go to Christmas. And then they got Midlands between Christmas and New Year's, and there's nothing like the cold wind of Chicago to kind of get you going right there, right?
Next time we'll see this Mountaineer team January 14th against number 9 Oklahoma State, and then Mizzou right behind it. 2 top 10 teams coming into the Coliseum, but West Virginia dominated on the day. We will have a forfeit at 285 to finish the job. Heavyweight win for Michael Wolfgram, redshirt senior from York, PA. Probably disappointed not to wrestle one of his final matches at home.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. You want to wrestle as many matches as you can. I'm definitely looking forward to those Oklahoma State and Missouri. I mean, those are 2 high-end teams.
So West Virginia will pocket this one. What do you work on in tournament?